In this week's video, I'm going to explain to you why this recent bounce we've seen on Bitcoin, why Bitcoin actually is now telling you two very important things. In fact, this recent bounce we've just seen is Bitcoin's way of telling you two very powerful pieces of information. And I'm going to cover this for you in this video. Before I do that though, I just want to show you something quite important here, because in a video that I posted 2 weeks ago, which is right here, Bitcoin must now hold a key level, this is what I said. In fact, in this video 2 weeks ago, I made two predictions about Bitcoin, both of which are now coming true. The first prediction that I made was that the most likely scenario for Bitcoin was a double bottom pattern, which you see right here. In that video, I said, look, the most likely pattern we're going to see on Bitcoin was a move down to the February lows and a bounce from those levels, which forms more or less a double bottom formation. And this was the chart that I showed you in my video. This was the projection I made on Bitcoin, which was a move down to the February lows and then a bounce, a very strong rally above. In other words, what I was looking for was a reversal and a move back above this 200 moving average, green line you see here. So I was looking for it to go back above these levels. So if we take a look at Bitcoin right now, okay, so Bitcoin did not come exactly to the February lows that we were hoping for. But if you look over here, it came extremely close to that February low there, okay? And you can see what it did next. Exactly as we'd expected, we saw strong bounce and a move back above the 200 moving average, the green line you see there on my chart. And that is important because I'm going to explain to you something extremely important is telling you later in this video. Now, believe it or not, Bitcoin on this particular chart is communicating to you two very powerful things. But let's start with the first one. The first important thing that Bitcoin is telling you is this: the fact that this level, the level it bounced from, which came extremely close to the February lows there, okay, is telling you this level is now absolutely key to Bitcoin. It is a level that Bitcoin has held, and it's now forming a potential base, a very likely base into this zone, okay, into the 6,500 to 6,000 level, all right? And why is that important? Because this is what we call in chart analysis or technical analysis as market structure. When markets are holding and respecting a key level, like this key level of support here on Bitcoin, essentially the market is forming market structure. All right, and it's respecting that market structure. And it means this, it means that if, and it's an if Bitcoin were to suddenly reverse and if it were to fall back below that market structure, that support level, that would be devastating news for Bitcoin. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. In fact, I don't consider that to be even likely. However, there is still a chance that it might do that, and we need to think about that. So all I'm saying is this, that if Bitcoin were to reverse, and if it were to fall below this key support level, this market structure, that would mean it's breaking market structure. And a break of market structure in technical analysis is very bad news indeed for that market. Because essentially, here's the deal. If Bitcoin were to not hold this level, and if it were to fall back below it, we're looking at significantly lower levels on Bitcoin. All right. I mean, brace for impact if that were to happen. Now, again, as I mentioned before, that's an if. It's a hypothetical situation, which again, I don't consider to be likely. But again, it's important that we mention it and we do talk about it. So respecting market structure is important. Bitcoin and Bitcoin buyers must now protect this key level on Bitcoin, that support level that we've now formed, because a break of that level would be certainly a bad news for Bitcoin indeed. But here's the thing, so far, so good. So far, Bitcoin is doing exactly what we thought it was going to do, which is essentially start this kind of process of a double bottom formation, like the one I just showed you here from a chart from 2 weeks ago. Now, the second most important piece of information that Bitcoin is telling you is this, which is something, again, we predicted in the previous video, which is it has gone back above its 200 daily moving average, that green line you see on my chart. In fact, I showed this in my previous video from 2 weeks ago. I said, look, many times we've seen markets break the 200 daily average and they go back above it again, just like it did on the day of the Brexit vote in the UK. Again, this is done, a lot of it is done by algorithmic activity from institutional algorithms. Let me just show you an example. Here's an example here on the stock market on the Dow. This is the Dow Jones. Look at this. Just recently we saw the Dow break its 200 daily average. Look at that. It broke its 200 daily average. It went below it, only for it to go back above it again. Look at that. I mean, that's just a clean false breakout. It's a classic example of how algorithms can trick people into thinking that we're in a bear market when actually we're not in a bear market. Here's another example. This is the day that Donald Trump became president. And look at that. On the day of the election, the stock market cleanly, you can see that clearly went below its 200 daily average. Now, it was there for a few, maybe about an hour or two, but it went back above it again. Look at that. That is a clear as daylight example of what I'm talking about. When the markets break the 200 daily average, and again, many misinformed people think we're in a bear market when we're not. That actually is a clear buy signal, if anything. Now, this one is a classic example. This happened in 2014 when the Ebola crisis was happening. If you remember, about a few years back, there was a sudden panic in the world about Ebola, that it might spread to other countries. And it was absolute nonsense. But look what happened to the market. The market went below its 200 daily average, right there. But what did it do? Very quickly, it managed to reverse back and go back above it again. So this is why in my video from 2 weeks ago, I warned about this. I told you this could happen. And as you can see, it is exactly what Bitcoin has done. It went below its 200 daily average, only for it to quickly go back above it again. But look how many people it fooled. It must have fooled a lot of people out there thinking, oh, we're in a bear market. No, we're not. Now, let's not get ahead of ourselves, because even though Bitcoin has had a nice bounce, it is still not in the clear, and there's still a lot of resistance above us. And it needs to clear those resistance levels